We're live.
Hi friends, how's it going? Welcome to another episode of the Mind of the Martyr. I'm a little sick, so I'm going to be taking it relatively easy on the voice front. I hope you're doing well. Hope you're doing okay. Hope you're not sick like me. As you saw, we have a wonderful Dice Envy sponsor video that was done by our resident badass and tech gremlin, apparently, Adam. Which is going to be hype, and we have some more plans on the way. But until then, I'm just going to real quick mention before we jump into the stream here that we have two other sponsors that keep us on the air. One of those is the wonderful folks at Grinding Coffee. They are a Black LGBT owned coffee company that have a Christmas flavor on the way that they haven't disclosed yet, and I'm very curious as to what it's going to be. I'm hoping it's some kind of apple and cinnamon blend, but that's just my guess. That's my hope. But yes, go and check out Grinding Coffee. Throw in FWRD for some money off your purchase. That goes towards supporting us, and you'll be supporting a marginalized group of creators. So go ahead and check them out. We are also a Roll20 Spotlight sponsored stream. Roll20 is an online toolset that allows you to bring your D&D or whatever other TTRPG games you would like from the pen and paper realm to the virtual realm. You can go ahead and check out full games on there, or just use the tool set to create your own. There are a bunch of different art assets, maps, tokens, visual effects, you name it, Roll20 has got it. So go ahead and check them out at roll20.net. You can sign up for free, or you can also pay for a pro account where you can get some really cool bonus features. Roll20, this is how we roll. And with that being said, let's go ahead and jump into the session here. I'm very excited to get going. Did anybody want to go ahead and give folks a rundown of what very little but also a lot happened last time? Or did you want me to go ahead and just... It was a lot of talking.
It was a lot. It
was
of planning.
Now, bear with me, correct me if I'm wrong at all, because I was still just a wee bit hungover. But we went to the Queen's throne room. We met with the council there, which included Mara's brother-in-law, actually. It was nice to meet some of the family. And they informed us of the disappearances happening all over. We kind of figured out, oh, there's a pattern here, so we're going to plan to be in the next spot that this weird airship that I saw back when I first came to Zenri. We're going to kind of try to intercept it, get onto it somehow, and get information. This plan took many different turns, and lots of different ideas were thrown out. I'm not exactly sure where we landed on a plan.
Okay.
But towards the end of our discussions, a young half-elf tiefling woman came in, and
By young, you mean old.
by a young, yeah, probably
Young, but like the
She
other
was
way.
pretty. I don't know. And she says, "Hey, I know you don't know me, but you need to come with us right now." After giving Mara a hug, that definitely got the seal of approval, and off we pop.
Absolutely. Yeah, the way I describe it is like it's kind of like that Angela Lansbury kind of thing, where it's like you are very clearly like an older woman, but also you are very lovely. Like you are just a lovely individual. That's very much the vibe that Gwendolyn gives off.
Gotcha. Betty White vibes. Got it.
Yeah, I was just gonna say, Gwendolyn showed up when we were in the library after we went to Carda's shop because Mara and Dawan found out that the bag of holding that
was eating
holding
or
the prism, the prism,
The cone of
the
nothingness.
It was being eaten, yes.
is consuming the magic items inside the bag of holding, including the bag of holding. So we went to Carda's shop and got the thing in a power panicked walk, and also kicked him out of his own shop. And then we went to the library to do like individual research, and that is where Gwendolyn found us. Yeah,
Absolutely. Yeah, the bag of kinda holding at this point. It's a little.
It's a bag of draining now.
well, we did drain some of the Lunasarita swords.
Yes. The swords that you currently have on you are now
dormant.
Inert. Yes. Still magical, but not active.
Good.
They sleeping. They're chilling, they're sleeping. Yeah. And then Gwendolyn kind of just ushered you along and left, and you all had a chat, decided to follow. There's kind of a little bit of that muttering that your grandma does sometimes when they go and shuffle into the kitchen. They're just like, all right, where did I put that? No, okay, that's done. And then just flitting between like a little checklist in their head as they're walking by. And as they're walking, they'll turn around and speak to you as they're kind of exiting the castle itself. Just, this is very exciting. Very, very exciting. I can't believe it's me after all this time. I just, okay, sorry. So, hi, I'm Gwendolyn. I come from a place you may see very, very shortly. It's not really a place that many people get to visit. It kind of just, it's there when you need it, and when you don't, it's not there. It's a little weird to explain, but for the first time ever, we're going to set up an actual deliberate portal. And I'm very excited. It's the first time in a very, very long time it's happened, and I got chosen to help you all, and I'm so thrilled about it.
When you say it's the first time this portal has happened, do you mean the first time? Or has this been tested before and we're going through?
Oh, it's been tested. It's definitely been tested. It's been done before, but not for at least centuries, possibly millennia. It's been a while. It's been a long while. She reaches into this little satchel and pulls out these small kind of... They're in like a little bit of fabric, but they're relatively... The fabric's relatively see-through. It's just there to kind of keep it stable. They'll pull it out, and there's this little striped object inside. They kind of just hold their hand out. Just... Care for a treat?
I have questions about this portal. Is this magic that we're just reactivating? Or is this magic we're supposed to know how to do, because I don't know how to make any freaking portals? What are you talking about, lady?
It's kind of like it's kind of like walking into the tavern and turning all the lights back on. It's just the tavern's been abandoned for a very, very long time. That's all it is. I wouldn't recommend eating anything citrusy after having one of those. They're delightful, but the taste kind of hangs in your mouth for a little while. They'll just the biggest beam on their face as they're looking towards Dawan, and then they'll forage in their bag, and you can hear the rustling of like many of these in this bag.
I really wish Jacaranda ate food because I want one.
So we eat this hard candy, and it'll open a portal that we can go through to where?
Oh, this has nothing to do with that. I just thought you looked hungry, darling.
Oh, lovely then. All right.
We're still in this city, or are we at the gates already? How far do we get?
It's a walk. It's a walk and talk jobby. So,
okay.
Y'all are just like exiting the city at this point.
Wait.
And they'll hold out another one.
Wait, sorry. Let me get into character here.
Just a big bag of hard candy. This is literally a character in my home.
Literally Werther's original.
Yes. Love it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so they'll just kind of, after saying that, they'll just... Again, it's been a very, very long time. I just need to lead you out of town far enough for there to be some kind of canopy, and then this little doohickey, and she'll reach into the bag and pull out what seems to just be like a regular twig with like a couple of berries at the end. It kind of looks like they've just snapped it off off a bush and just kind of brought it with them. They'll hold it, kind of wiggle it a little bit, and just this will do the rest. I'm not really a talented folk myself. I'm far beyond my years, but I've been told it works, so I trust them.
Are we heading north of the city or south of the city? Or east or west? Where are we going?
I guess that's up to you. Where's the which trees do you think are closer? And she as you now
Jacaranda
kind of
raises
like
her hand.
as you stepped out, she turns and just delightful, amazing. Thistle will definitely be interested in seeing you. And they pull the wand back out along with a set of like very, very old spectacles. They've kind of got that like old lady chain that very clearly goes around their neck, but the entire chain and the frames of the glasses themselves are all covered with these teeny tiny little vines that kind of wrap around and stretch across.
A little bit called out because I just got one of those.
Okay, but there's a difference between like the regular ones you see and then like the actual like big like pearl orb like
old lady,
like the huge yeah. No, I'm talking about the ones that you see in like Golden Girls, like you know, the big decorative
icons though, honestly.
Oh yeah, absolutely. But yeah, they all seem to be wrapped with vines and small leaves that are coming off and around. And she looks and just...
This portal supposed to be for everyone to travel through? Just us to travel through? Us and the queen to travel through? Who's supposed to be traveling through this?
I've been told just to summon you, so that is who I'm summoning.
Because if it's just supposed to be for us, I would prefer we go back to our home and have it set there.
I mean,
or there's the clearing that Nawi and I used to camp in.
The one with the ducks?
Fairly close. Yeah, with the ducks.
It won't stay once it's placed. It'll just kind of ping there and ping back, and then it'll vanish again and go back into the the things.
Does Gwendolyn's mood change at all at the mention of Nawi?
What's your passive insight?
Mine is 18, I think. 19. No, passive insight. Never mind. 11. Passive.
13.
Passive wisdom?
Yeah. Wisdom would work.
Intelligence. Yeah. Okay, that's 19 then.
Okay.
Now, Mars is really high, but she doesn't care. So.
Fair. Yeah.
She's more concerned with this other thing, so.
No, that's totally fair. There's a little twinkle in her eye as at the mention of Nawi.
Well, so wait, where are we going? Or do you want to be a surprise?
whether I can tell. Can I tell you? I don't know. That's something I should have spoken about first. Oh, I'm lost. And they'll pull out like a little notebook and just blasted trees and figs. And they'll begin writing in their in their little like very rustic and makeshift notebook of just, and she doesn't make a point to hide it. She's just like, ask what information I can share next time. Underline, closes the book.
Oh, it's like
I
a note.
love
I
her.
thought it was like a magic notebook that they'd get a response or something.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking too. I was like, that's cool.
No, she's an old lady.
But just literally making a note,
Literally making
reminder
a
for
note.
next time.
no, she's literally my
Same.
aunt.
Oh, it's me. Oh no. You guys are calling me old this episode.
If all you required was a tree for us to go through this portal, why didn't we do it back at the castle? Why do we have to leave the city?
Not a tree, a canopy. I need a canopy. There's no big canopies in the city.
Let's see. There's
Oh,
no
we can
big
go up?
canopies near the lake either, I don't think.
Yeah, I was climbing trees there.
Sure.
Into the forest.
I'm sure we'll find something relatively close. It's just a place where all the leaves are blocking out a bit of the sunlight. That's all. That's all that's required. That's what I've been told. So that's what I'm doing.
Into the woods.
Into the woods.
And they'll pull up their glasses again and take a look. Just, I'm sorry, long sight isn't really my talent. Would you say? And they lean in towards Mara and just. Would you say that the south side or the north side is closer? And they're pretty much the same, to be honest. But she's like proper like squinting and struggling to take a look. She's pulling a little finger.
The north side is towards where we went to see the guardian, right?
Yes.
He was like northwest. Well, go north. I'm waiting for a bird from that direction.
This bird.
I see. All right. Okay. What it is? And she'll continue on with her little shuffle, and she'll go back into her bag and just. There's plenty of these if anyone needs them.
Oh, Dawn.
Really,
holds
I
out-
packed
holds
far
out
too
a
many.
hand. Are they different flavored?
They look to be this. They look to be the same, but they're definitely homemade rather than manufactured. So they're a little different each time, but they very clearly come from different batches. But they're about the same. They're mostly kind of like you kind of hit the nail on the head with like the butter candies, but there's a slight like minty taste to the end of it, which actually isn't awful. It's just subtle enough that it's kind of it almost like cleanses the palate straight after you've had it, and that's
Okay.
it.
I mean,
It's pretty neat.
as
Which
long
makes
as there's
sense.
no citrusy flavored ones, because then Dawn would pick all the citrus-looking ones out.
That makes sense why you wouldn't want to eat any citrus afterwards, because then you get the orange juice after toothpaste.
Exactly. Exactly.
Yeah.
Well,
Oh,
and
bless.
cats don't like citrus.
That too. Yeah. She'll just grab a handful and just kind of place them. She places them very delicately. She grabs it and then like cups your hand with the other and just kind of closes her hands around them and then pulls them away when they know you have a good grip. They'll continue on and just, you seem like interesting folks. It's good to meet you, definitely. You've been traveling long?
Couple
That's all I
months.
do. All I do is travel. So, yeah, like over 100 years.
100 years? That's exciting. You must have so many stories. Oh, I was correct. Thistle will absolutely want to talk with you. It's good to see that. Have you been traveling together long? They'll continue over the north side.
What? It's only been about a month
A
now.
month?
Two.
2?
2 months. with the
Because we spent a
time skip.
month
That's true.
renovating.
Oh, that's true.
Yes. That's true.
Yeah, I mean, we were traveling for a month, and then we stayed put for a month. And...
I guess we're due for some more traveling.
All right. Get restless after a while.
Wonderful, wonderful. It's always good to travel a little bit, although getting yourselves into an interesting situation with the royalty of a place is always interesting, especially in short notice. You must be very likable. And there's another big smile across her face as she pulls out like a little flask and is just like, drink.
Dawn holds up her tumbler of tea.
Oh, that's fair. Prepared.
None for me,
Is
thanks.
Logan
I'm a wee
with
bit
us?
of a break.
Logan was not invited. Logan
Okay.
Logan has stayed behind.
It's just us, right?
It's
Yeah, just y'all.
us.
No merry band of NPCs following you. It's just y'all.
Yeah, we're supposed to give Bray a
Well,
break.
there's
remember?
one NPC following us, but he doesn't talk much.
She continues on and holds out the flask for a little bit before pocketing it, and then we'll step into the closest kind of the closest thicket, begin walking through, and her eyes immediately kind of shoot up towards the top. Just slight break there, a slight break there. Really wish you'd given me better instructions. Well, I suppose that's just how it goes.
Does it need to be completely canopied?
Do you need more?
It just needs to be a spot about like a 10-foot circle, maybe, where just everything is covered over.
Wait,
Can I druid craft that?
Can Dawn join your druid craft with plant growth? Just tag team the cleric.
Like, is that good?
Yeah, you both kind of look up, and using both of your natural abilities, you force the trees to grow a little and move and kind of close over the canopy. And she just, impressive. That's very cool. Oh, you must have practiced so long to get that right, dearies. Wonderful.
Not really.
I would like to think that it's like unspoken that both Jacqueline and Dawn do that, so it's just like a.
It is kind of cool.
Again, we could have done this in the city, but let's proceed.
We don't want anyone random following us, do we?
And it's easier to do it with plants that already exist than.
There were plenty of plants in the garden.
Have we made sure that no one's following us? Is anybody following us?
Make a perception check.
You see that goddamn bird?
Dirty 20.
Dirty 20. Okay. You take a look around as all this is going on, taking the chance while everyone's doing their thing. Nothing really particularly stands out to you, no. No one's following you, no weirdness around. You're clear.
No, doesn't seem to be. So he'll answer his own question. He's like, has anybody been following us? No, it doesn't seem to be.
She'll pause for a moment and look up and pull out this little branch, and then she'll... sorry, you said you were waiting for a bird.
Yes, there's
A
a blackbird
blackbird
who's coming to retrieve an item for me.
Blackbird. Okay, blackbird. You should be fine. If they're looking for you, they'll find you. They'll probably find you on the way back. It'll be fine. It'll be fine. And she walks up.
Do you know how long we'll be gone? Are we gonna like do a timey-wimey thing where we're gonna return the same time we left?
Timey-wimey.
Well, that's how the library works. It returns us like very shortly after we left while we're in the library. Because
I'm
we have to be back like at least within 24 hours.
Slang seems to have changed a lot over the years. That's fine. That's fine. I'm very outdated. I can assure you that you will be back for what you need to be back for. How that looks, I don't know.
Okay, then we're gonna have someone else come with us. And I message for Shikari to come into the...
We should leave a note or something. I mean, I guess we should have before we left. Or let somebody know.
I already told the people back at the fort that we'd be gone.
Oh, okay. Good.
The queen doesn't care what we do, so...
Her Majesty already told me, and that's why I found you in the first place.
And she'll tell Evan if I'm not back for dinner. So.
We had quite the good chat. She was the one who reached out to us in the first place, so... Well, I say us. Reached out to them in the first place. And she'll reach down and kind of begin to shovel out some of the dirt in the center of this, where you've created the canopy. She'll step like directly into the center and just start shoveling a little bit of dirt with her hands.
Shikari lands right behind you.
Like quiet enough for me not to notice, or
Does Shikari fly?
No, like he was in a tree, I assume.
Oh.
And he
they're good climbers.
Lands?
Not great climbers, but they're good climbers.
Great.
Gwendolyn,
They're quite a high jumping distance.
Do you need
Why?
anything else to prepare for this portal?
She'll
Not
tap.
the notebook.
She'll
Did I
kind of
need
tap
anything
her
else?
bag for a second, and we'll kind of tap around like her belt line quickly and just... I tell you what, I've forgotten. Water. I've forgotten water. That's so silly. Could I spare any from you?
You mean,
Shouldn't
could we
be too
spare
much.
some for you?
Yes, sorry.
How much would you like?
Just enough to... And now that she's dug this out, she's going to pull out the sapling. She places it gently in the ground and just begins to kind of push the dirt back over and kind of has planted this little twig now with the berries facing up. She's just enough to give this wonderful one a little drink. That's all.
There's a pond nearby that I'm familiar with.
I thought you guys could create water.
We can, but I mean, we don't know what we're doing. I don't want to use magical abilities just in case, I don't want to be tapped out.
But also, water skin.
Yeah,
Right.
I don't carry water.
That's true. Yeah, Jacaranda doesn't have water skins, so...
I just hope it's in the ground.
So
Yeah.
Orn
Can I
will
plant myself?
pull out one of his like wine skins and take a sip and not that one. And then he'll pull out another one, take a sip, and that's the one. And he'll does this need a lot of water or just a wee bit?
Just a wee bit.
So he'll pour out a little bit.
Wonderful.
Until she says what.
You should just tie a blue ribbon around the one that's watered.
That's a good point, but generally, normally I just drink from the two freely. It's just right now because of the siren's tear from the other night. I don't necessarily want the whiskey.
She smiles as you've now poured this, and she'll just gently kind of just move your hand away a little at the time, and we'll look down. And you see that she looks towards the little bunches of berries towards the top here. You see a couple of them almost instantly wither and fall from the branch itself. She'll smile as she looks and just, that's the one. That's enough. Wonderful. And she'll will go into her notepad this time, skip a couple of pages, and begin reading in, if anyone understands Sylvan. She reads a little passage, which is a little long-winded, but it basically comes down to those who can see beyond the veil, please show us the path. And she'll kind of begin to chant that with certain inflections, and as she does so, the echoes of her words kind of float around the air for a bit as the little plant begins to grow, begins to come up and split and splinter. As it comes up, the berries kind of come a little larger now, and as they do so, they'll hang over. It's probably like now what was just a sapling is now like a 2-foot high plant with these 5 berries across it. She'll take one of the berries and just, all right, go ahead and tuck in, eat the whole thing, and blink. And she will happily just
blink?
Mm-hmm. Just blink. And she'll place it in her mouth. She won't bite down just yet. She'll wait.
So there were 5 left. She took one and there were 5 left, or are there only 4 left?
She took one and there's 5 left.
Okay.
So Shikari could come along if you wish.
Okay. Yes, that's what I wish. So I'll take one for me, one for Shikari. Okay.
Do we have to digest this, or is it just the process of?
Just the process, darling.
Okay. So I'll
don't worry. She goes, all right, 3, 2, 1. She'll split the berry in her mouth, and as you all blink, you find yourselves elsewhere. It's not even like a magical switch. It just kind of happens around you, and you immediately feel a strange sense of levity and a weight off your shoulders as you step, or appear rather, in this place. You see these huge trees climbing and climbing and climbing up to this beautiful green, primarily canopy that is mixed with all of these different flowers and blossoms, various different types, some of which you've seen before, some of which you've never seen. And they all kind of interweave, and as you look down, you can see the path covered in flowers and blossoms. The trees and the foliage around you just seems to carry on and on and on. As Jacaranda, you get a familiar sense around you. It's not quite 100% there, but it's familiar. It's not a sense of home, but it's close. You feel a tie to this place. It's a very strange experience for you, but there's this tie that kind of tethers you here. You can almost feel the peace of the trees around you. Whereas normally you'd have to sit and wait and talk to the trees, it feels as natural as speaking to the rest of your companions here. They are chatty and enthusiastic, and in just a few moments you hear all of these just kind and welcoming voices just fill through your mind as all of these plants around you greet you. Everyone else still gets this feeling of just a general sense of kindness and peace that fills through you. You hear the occasional clicking, almost like a woodpecker, but not quite as intense. And as you take a look around, you see these small constructs of twigs and leaves and wood and other natural elements. Very, very small. Probably like centimeters we're talking. And they're just dotted around on the ground, through the trees, little twigs and breaks here and there. And they all seem to be just creating this sound that carries on through. And Gwendolyn will take a deep breath and sigh and just, you're all accounted for. Wonderful. Welcome to my home.
Was there a chance that we wouldn't be accounted for, I mean?
Well, no, not at all, but I haven't done this before myself, personally, so I was just very worried I might have messed something up, but thankfully, we are all good.
I feel like you need to reclassify this method of transportation. Not quite a portal.
True, I suppose that's true, but also I wasn't the one that mentioned that.
So, where are we?
This, it's had a few names since people from your world had been introduced to it. Some call it the Endless Forest. Some call it, in some of the less foliaged parts, they just call it the Meadow. We who live here, however, call it the Verdant Vale. And it is kind of a midway stop between your world and the more whimsical aspects of the Feylands, I think is probably the best way I can sum it up. It's been a while since I've had to explain it, so apologies.
No.
Mm-hmm.
Is
Eridan.
Must be around here somewhere.
How large is the Verdant Vale?
Massive and tiny. You kind of just end up where you're needed. The veil is... You're better off not trying to understand it, to be honest. But it's a comfortable
the way that she is. I understand. I accept.
The way Nalia explained it, I always thought it was some kind of like state of mind rather than an actual place.
It's to a degree.
I never got that feeling. Does Mara hear anything? She's listening for a call.
There's a lot of this clicking, the occasional kind of just movement of fauna throughout various creatures, but no particular sound, no particular noise.
Mara would look around and say, okay, so what are we needed for here?
You were requested, actually.
Bye.
I think it's best if they explain. It's to do with your friend. They need some more time in the Vale to be prepared, but there's a little something that some folks here need you to do in order to help with that process.
Okay. Of course.
I'm sorry for being so secretive, I suppose. The veil is confusing to explain to people, and I didn't want to bundle on too much information too soon in case you didn't want to come.
So during all of that, Jack Rand is just talking to the trees, which I don't know if anyone else can hear that. So Jack Rand is just talking, like one-sided. You're hearing one-sided conversation.
I love it.
It's mostly just really polite conversation back, like just really nice, like, oh, we have a guest. It's wonderful to see a guest. Absolutely fantastic. What's your name? Where did you come from? I love the colors that you have going on there. Like just loads of like.
Shall we start whatever it is we're here to do? We do have other things going on.
I'm sorry. It's been a long time since I exited and then re-entered. It's a bit weird to have stopped feeling the way. Whatever. It's fine. Don't worry. It's just silly old me. Let's walk. She kind of puts her hand up and just. Let's go west. I feel like going west. And she just walks a random direction.
I'm assuming that direction has very little meaning in the Verdant Vale.
As I said before,
Not said wherever you. Yeah, exactly.
Yes.
When you want to find it, you find it at the right time, and you end up where you're supposed to be.
This whole thing is a very strange experience. You kind of just stumble upon the veil usually. For people to be summoned is incredibly unusual and a fantastic honor for yourselves and for me for being able to do it as well. I'm very excited.
I mean, the first to be summoned through magical berries in 100 years. What an honor.
I realize it sounds a little bit strange in that context, but
I think it feels very special. Thank you.
When Mara goes to walk, she has that feeling like when you just have a massage, because we're at peace here. So she feels very relaxed for like the first time in a long time. So she goes to walk and she stumbles a little bit because she's not used to it. Yes. It's like, oh.
And it is exactly that. Like, there is no tension in your body anywhere. You find some of those more kind of natural human intrusive thoughts no longer appear. And it is just this pure meditative state of just actual peace.
Right.
I want to go
Can
to
you
there.
manifest the Verdant Vale IRL? I would really appreciate that. Thank you.
I want to go to there.
Orin starts to smile because his headache is gone. As the energy of the plane just kind of fills him, like you'll actually see his tattoo starts to glow just a little bit, and his skin just gets a little bit brighter. Gesundheit.
Thank you. So Gwendolyn will walk, and as you do so, your steps feel incredibly light, incredibly relaxed. It's a little weird. Even though you're wearing what you're wearing, you can almost feel the moss and the grass underneath your feet, for those of you who are wearing shoes. Almost as if it's like pressing directly against rather than the usual sensation you would feel. It doesn't take long before you all continue, and there's another strange moment where you all get the sensation to blink, and as you do so, you all kind of blink in unison. And as you do so, your eyes open to what seems to be a little village almost. There's a huge, wide tree trunk that has been completely hollowed out, is being used for multiple different buildings over to the side. And to your left, you can see various large huts made of leaves and earth and plants and wood and all sorts. And you see a lot of individuals dressed kind of the same way that Gwendolyn is, and kind of this very relaxed, like minimalistic outfits. A lot of plants and leaves kind of covering across a lot of foliage. You see quite the spread of individuals before you, pretty much all heritages you can think of from Vega, and many other stranger individuals that you've either never encountered or perhaps only seen during research and during reading. All these individuals seem to be relatively scattered around, and Gwendolyn will step up and just, this is kind of the main... We don't really call it a town, but I suppose that's the closest kind of approximation. This is where the majority of the people who stick around in the Vale live. Please go ahead and make yourselves at home. There's no such thing as being too welcomed here, so please go ahead. If you need to grab drinks or you want to take a quick look around, you have the time, so you're more than welcome. I will just, and she kind of points towards one of the huts. I will just be over there when you do want to continue with this. Just let me know, yes? It has been an absolute pleasure. She'll smile. Just do a little bow, and we'll pull herself back up and step over to one of the huts towards the back, which seems to be quite a lot older than the majority of the ones that are here.
Mara's gonna cast tongues on herself, and she's gonna step to the closest person and say, I feel that I'm overdressed. Is there any way for me to get more simple clothing?
They'll turn towards you, and they seem to be quite an almost angelic creature. Their eyes are kind of just bright orange. They have kind of like these gold kind of inlays across their face, and they seem to have some kind of decorative piece across their neck that does have an engraving, which is basically the like celestial equivalent of like live, laugh, love. She's very much one of those kind of individuals. And they'll look towards you and just, you probably want to go that way, head over to there. And she'll point out one of the other huts on the north side and just have a chat with our seamstress, and she will be more than happy to make you something a little more fitting. I know that a lot of that can probably be incredibly heavy stuff.
Thank you. And Mara would bow, and then she would turn to the rest of the group. I'm gonna go get out of this armor.
Really, I don't think you need it around here.
Yeah, that's what I figure as well, so she heads off.
All right.
I think I'd like to find some kind of spring or pool. I have just the slightest inkling that the water here is absolutely delicious.
I will join that. I like water.
You have like a healer here with knowledge or books that I could talk to. I'd love to learn about some of your plants. Medicinal.
Pause. Just a few. You can go and they'll point out a couple of places. Just this individual they've been here for a little while and they're learning. They're more they're very good at healing anything, whether that's living or not living. They're very good at kind of just a big mix of things. This one over here is probably our oldest healer. They've been around for a very long time. They probably have a whole bunch of stuff. If you're looking just for books, then you can check over here. There's a small little stash of knowledge that we keep over on this direction. But yeah, that's... Everyone here is pretty good at looking after themselves. As for the spring, just east. You'll want to head east a little bit. Not too far, just outside of this little border, that's all.
And Thorn will kind of like yell out, Mara, I'm gonna go for a wee swim. Just going east. But it won't be long. Jack, would you like to come with me? Go on.
Yes, I will accompany you to the spring.
I'll be over here.
All right. Okay. We'll start with Mara first here. You continue along and step into the or up to the door of this little hut. You don't even get a chance to knock or turn the handle or anything. Someone else is already leaving. They grab the door handle, pull, step out, and before you stands a skeleton. Just a full like human skeleton, completely clean, in the same kind of planty, ropey outfit. And they immediately stop, seeing like you are like almost face to face. They'll back away a little bit, bow an apology, and kind of just signal in.
Mara walks past the skeleton.
They wait for you to fully pass, and then they step out and they leave the door open. They just walk out and continue on. Off in the corner, this whole area seems to be filled with various different fabrics of various different kinds. There is a huge loom that takes up the majority of a huge loom that takes up the room at the very back there, pretty much most of the hut. And sitting in heavy quotation marks with pieces of thread kind of strewn across these little spiky plant sections, almost using itself as its own spinning wheel, is a large, sentient, you assume, thistle plant. Just a huge thistle bush. And it seems to, as you step in, it seems to pull another piece of its thread across one of the thistle leaves. Pauses. You see kind of like this one purple thistle plant towards the top part, which seems to act as their head. Again, heavy quotation marks, but it seems to almost turn to you. And the little kind of like thistle sections just open up a little bit more. And they immediately respond in Sylvan. Just, you're a new face. Hi.
Hello, I am Mara Katani. I am here to help Nawi and Eridan, I think. But I am overdressed. And I would like to blend in more.
They sway over to one side as they're listening to you, then sway over to another. You watch as their hand comes back down, and they begin to thread a few more pieces through their leaves there. All right. I have a few pieces that are definitely left over. What exactly would you like?
A shirt and pants, or just a dress, just something not very ostentatious. Because let's face it, all of Mara's clothes are pretty ostentatious. If she's not in her armor, she's in something fancy. So.
A dress? I can do a dress, absolutely. And what would your favorite color be? Or the color you'd like the dress? Or maybe both?
Blue. To both.
Blue.
Yes.
Excellent. Give me just a moment here. You watch as one of the other kind of like thistle plants begins to bend out of the bush and extend past. And it kind of reaches over to a piece of fabric, pulls it back, and it'll be just a few moments. They slowly begin to unpin the white thread that they have mixed in with each other here, and wrap it back around, and then begin to pull this fabric through.
Do you mind if we talk while you work?
You are more than welcome.
So I have a friend named Jacaranda who is an Ankaima, and she's very beautiful, and she has such a lovely soul. She would probably really love to meet you.
The threading actually pauses when you say Ankaima. You continue the rest of your sentence, and they continue through. Just, oh, it has been many, many of your years since I've met one of my kind. And they begin to actually start to create this dress as they work. And despite how slow and deliberate their movements have been before, as soon as they've gotten to the actual creation of this dress, using both the themselves and the loom itself, the creation process is incredibly fast. You can see all these tiny little movements from the little like hairs on the thistles as they begin to go. Just, I'm sure they are absolutely lovely.
They are very lovely. I'm not sure if they have ever met any of their kind, but they have traveled for a long time, so it would be very nice if they could meet you.
There's not many of us around, so that makes sense. Not many. I kind of like being special. Did you meet them in your lands?
Yes. They had decided to wake after a while of being dormant, I believe. And that's when I met them, and they helped me with a worm problem I was having.
Worm problem? I don't know why worms would be problems.
And then she burst into the story about the Worm Queen.
Please tell me she
and 1 through 6. She doesn't. She tells stories. She doesn't burst into songs. So
this isn't the musical moment. That comes later.
Right. She's a Disney princess, but not the singy kind.
Bard.
But yeah, she'll tell the story about the Worm Queen. Well, she's waiting. If you want to go to everyone else.
Mm-hmm.
Mara telling stories.
All right. For the two that are heading towards the pool, it does not take you long at all to find this large, flat lake that takes up pretty much the entirety of that side of this little territory here. It's a little strange in the fact that the water is completely still, and yet there is no smell of stagnation or anything like that. In fact, the water smells incredibly pure and incredibly fresh.
I had a feeling that it would be like this. Oh, it's not even like this back home. And he'll kind of reach down and just take a handful of water, and I'm assuming delicious. It's a little weird. You put your hands in, and as soon as you put your hands in, it's like that perfect, like just warm enough, like bath temperature. But as soon as you begin to bring it upwards, it almost seems to rapidly cool. As it reaches your mouth, it's nice and cold and refreshing as it does so. Oh, that is so lovely. Jack, you've got to come and try this.
I'll stand in a shallow-ish area.
Are there any, like, cliffs or anything around? Is this a very deep pool? Shallow pool?
The pool has some sections of more shallow areas and some deeper areas. You notice a lack of stone and rocks. Everything seems to be either very fine sand like dirt, or actual like pieces of like darker sand.
Mm-hmm. So it's not like
muck.
No, it's rather, this whole area that you've seen so far is rather flat. There have been some small rises and some stones here and there, but this kind of like lagoon area almost is pretty much clear.
No good like cliff diving boulders or anything like that.
You could climb a tree and jump down that way.
I could climb a tree. That happens
Not
to be my
Jacaranda.
friend.
I could help.
Jack,
I could grow my arms taller and give you a little boost.
if you'd like that, I would absolutely love that. Can we
Okay,
do
we're
that,
gonna
please?
try.
All right,
Amazing.
so Oren's gonna get he's gonna get out of his gi, but he still has like kind of like red speedos on. And he's gonna like run and jump and just be like, all right, so I'm gonna run, I'm gonna jump, and then you just chuck me, just throw me.
Toss me.
What I'm gonna end up doing is I'll grab Oren, I'll kind of like wrap my vines a little bit around, but then I'll like spin, like do the and then we'll see what happens.
So he's like, all right, he's ready for you just to be like, wee, and then you like grab it, and he's like, wow, 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 and then like cannonballs in.
And there is a huge splash of this liquid outside, and then it very swiftly returns back to its like just pure serene state. And you notice it doesn't look like the pool has lost any water, even though you very clearly watched like this huge splash come out.
As much as 45 pounds can make a huge
45 pounds with oomph.
Yeah,
Jacaranda just
That's true.
spinning you around there, like that's some force there.
I'm not very strong though, so it might not have been very impressive.
In Oren's mind, it was the best.
oh, it was so amazing. I was like, did a couple of flips, and then just boom, cannonballed in, and just floating. Oh, this is so lovely. I haven't been in a pool like this since well, a pool like this, never. The ones back home, I'm quite close.
I can't remember if the dandelion I had wanted to stay in the keep that we have, or if they wanted to keep traveling with me.
One of them came with you.
Okay,
One of them was feeling adventurous.
So I'll like give the little dandelion a little water too while I'm here.
And you watch as it immediately perks up, even more so than it was, almost as if it's like, as if you had performed magic on it. Like it is just kind of sprouted back up in its full kind of power, so to speak. And
aren't you glad you decided to be adventurous?
And even as you stand in this yourself, you can feel just this sense of strength and rejuvenation kind of hit you. You almost feel as if like your hair is blooming just that little bit more. It almost seems like it's kind of coming out a little bit and kind of spreading a little. Why don't you go ahead and add a d6 to your next roll? And you can hold on to that for however long it takes for you to roll. But yeah, hold on to a d6. You can use that on your next roll. As you just feel this sense of renewal come through you.
Oh, this is quite lovely. But I have a feeling that we should probably be getting back tomorrow soon.
I do feel like there was something very important, but then everybody just left, so I'm not quite sure.
I think we're relying on some kind of weird time dilation thing. Like the library. You go into the library.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's
Did I?
weird.
I think
you
so.
come out and the sun's in the same spot as it was when you went in.
I mean, books are fine, but I prefer like auditory stories as opposed to printed on
yes.
paper.
God,
Absolutely.
that's so dark. Oh no.
Well, if you think about it that way. Yeah.
Yes.
I've always been much of an audible learner myself. Lectures always tend to help me more than reading.
And when you can have things explained to you if you have a question, or just, I feel like there's a community with stories that you don't, I mean, you can get it from books, I guess, but I prefer the interaction, I think.
I'd agree with that. So earlier, you seemed to be having quite a light conversation, but
Yeah.
you didn't hear anything else.
Well, all the trees and plants are talking all the time.
Talk to them.
Yeah.
Like all of them, not just. I mean, I understand the idea of sentient trees. Obviously, they'll kind of point to his tree tattoo, and I get it. But I wasn't. The three sisters, they were once celestial beings that were transformed into trees. I didn't realize that all trees can talk. That's amazing.
They can when they want to. I mean, some are stubborn. Some are pretty stubborn. Sometimes oaks, I don't know, they can be, well, they're fine. They're fine. They're not bad. I've just met a few oaks in my time that were pretentious, you know?
I guess I can see that. They have quite a rough exterior.
I love willows, though. Every willow I've met, great.
What? That's very interesting. I think they might be a bit depressing with all the weeping.
Well, it's just emotion. That doesn't necessarily mean that it's depressing. I actually find it quite refreshing. I mean, a good cry is great. And if someone else is already crying, I mean, go for it.
Very therapeutic, absolutely.
And now every tree has a story.
What is you two's passive perception? Just out of curiosity.
19.
13.
Okay, so Orin probably doesn't notice, but you do. Just the like slight creaking, Jack. You notice as the skeleton that left Mara is now just continuing on and is kind of just mingling with everyone else. You watch as they kind of just pass by one side to the other, just off the way you came. That's it.
Huh.
Or just the floating there. What you thinking about?
Well, there was a skeleton. There was a skeleton. Not yours. I mean, there was another one.
Like, just the skeleton.
Yeah,
Just
without the rest, without the
Right.
outside.
And he will start to swim back to shore.
You can see there's a couple of people who are like, they've been waiting to get in themselves, but they're not entirely sure who you are. So they're friendly, but they've kind of like, instead of jumping in, they've walked up and they've kind of just dipped their feet in and they kind of sat at the edge with their hands in their lap, and they'll shoot you a sincere smile if you
Are they
were to
British?
look that way.
Just kidding.
I'm sorry, I didn't mean to take
Oh yes,
your,
the
your
entire
swimming hole.
Verdant Vale is British. This is now canon.
They're just nice.
Oh, I'm
passive
very
aggressive.
sorry.
You'll hear
I-
about this later.
I didn't mean to take up your swimming hole. I figure I'm quite small, so I don't take up a lot of space.
No, it's fine. It's fine. No, don't worry about it. We saw you were having a lot of fun. Who are you?
Oh, my name's Orin Thistlefoot. I'm not from around here. My friends and I were brought here by Gwendolyn.
As soon as you say your own name, you see them immediately relax as as you just continue talking. They actually go ahead and slide in themselves and just kind of rest towards the side of this lagoon. They will nod and just, oh yes, we know her. It's good to see you. It's always good to see new people.
You as well.
Well, I didn't want to keep you. Just wanted to make sure that we knew each other.
Did you see what Jack just saw?
Hi, Jack. I mean, that depends what you just saw, but sure.
Jack, what exactly was it that you saw?
Well, it was a skeleton.
Mm-hmm.
Just a skeleton by itself. Which we're not used to seeing. Sometimes we do.
Oh.
Usually that's not like of their own doing. Normally it's something else.
Okay, right. So I was born here, so I don't really know anything outside of this area, unfortunately.
So that's normal.
It's normal here. Yes, totally normal.
Okay.
There's a few of them knocking around. A good few of them.
So they're good.
I
You mean
mean,
there's a lot? There's a
there-
lot of them, or
there's a lot of them, and they're helpful. They are wonderfully helpful.
Oh. Last time we ran into a bunch of skeletons, they were being forced to dance, and then attack us.
That sounds dreadful. I'm very sorry that happened to you.
It was. Weirdly, for a moment, it was kind of fun. Because the music was quite good. But
Yes.
Right.
you know, like a good scrapping tune.
Scrapping to yes, yeah, no, definitely. I get it. And you don't need a high passive insight to just know that they have no fucking clue what you're talking about. Like, they have no idea, but they want to be polite. They want to feel like they want you to feel like you're being heard. So they're just like, yeah, no, I get that totally. Well, I didn't want to keep you. I saw you were moving elsewhere, so...
Yes, well, it was a pleasure to meet you. It's good to know that the skeletons here are not hostile, because that was kind of my rush. But, Jack, do you think perhaps we should meet up with Mara? And Dawan?
Yes. Where should we meet them?
Guess we'd just,
Should we just walk
head
and
into
then we'll
town
run
and
into them?
we'll find them eventually.
Isn't that how this place works? I asked the people who are near us. We just walk and then...
But pretty much, you'll find what you need sooner or later. If you are really concerned about the skeleton phenomena, just go talk to Zeth. He'll sort you out.
Seth.
Yes, Zeth.
Right.
Zeth,
Thank you very
okay.
much. And what was your name?
Fine. Trying to... I don't suppose you speak Primordial, do you?
Oh shit! I think I do. Wait. No. Okay. Wait. No. Shit.
Okay, that's fine. I guess I can translate it. It kind of translates to tidal in common. It doesn't quite sound exactly the same.
I actually do speak Primordial.
You do speak Primordial.
Yes.
So they'll smile at that and he'll just, okay, well, in that case, and they give you the primordial word for peaceful currents.
Like
you can see, you can see looking at them, they definitely have some Triton heritage in them. Definitely, definitely a younger individual, but they definitely have some Triton heritage in them.
Oh, okay. You said tidal, Tidal. Okay,
yes.
I just heard title, and I was like,
no, not title.
This dude's name is name. Okay.
Yeah. So peaceful currents would basically be the translation from primordial. They've been given a very literal name, but Jacaranda, you can tell from the pronunciation that even though their name is primordial, they don't seem to speak a lot of it. The kind of like the inflections are in the wrong place. And they don't quite. It's one of those like they're learning. They're a younger individual, so they're probably still learning primordial.
Inflection on the wrong syllable.
Exactly.
And I'm sorry, what was the guy that they told us to ask about the skellies?
Zeth.
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 I imagine that the skeletons were wizards and they tried to cast invisibility on themselves and made a mistake. So all their flesh and blood is just invisible.
Oh my gosh, that would be so intense. Oh, can you imagine?
What a prank, though.
I mean, better like everything invisible as opposed to like just like your skin invisible. That would be terrible. Yeah, like no, thank you. No, thank
It's like
you.
the trope of like you have to get naked to be invisible because your clothes aren't affected, and then like, but it's even worse because like your bones aren't affected.
There was that superhero movie with
Fantastic Four.
Kel. No, with Kel, like from Keenan and Kel.
With Kel.
Where he's invisible but has to get naked to.
Oh, I know the one, but I can't think for the life of me what it's called. Yeah, something like
Mystery
that.
Men with Ben Stiller.
Mystery Men, yes, Mystery Men. That's the one.
But like, also, are you talking about Boku no Hero? Because that's the thing.
Is it? Oh,
True,
I'm not. I don't know anime well enough to know.
That's fair. That's fair.
Just believe that there's someone who gets naked and she is invisible. Yes.
The freedom.
Anime.
Anyway,
I'll get dried off, and we'll head back in towards
Cool.
to look for Dawan and Mara.
All right. Speaking of Dawan,
yes,
there are 3 places that you were pointed out to. There's kind of the standard healer, the one who does most of the work here. The small like repository they have of knowledge, and then the older healer.
I'm gonna go to the older healer.
Okay.
Obviously.
They seem to be the one, the shack that's kind of the closest to this main trunk structure. You go ahead and knock on the door?
Yes.
Or are you just gonna open it up?
No, I would. Does it look like a private home, or does it look like a?
Does it have a shingle out front? Is what she wants to know.
Yeah, like, is it like, if it looks like a private home, I'm not gonna walk in. But if it looks like
a clinic,
like a business.
It looks similar to your old place, where like your home and your clinic were all kind of combined into one.
Yes, but I would have had a sign. It would also be a business. So does it have a?
Yeah.
Okay. Then in that
there's no signs, nothing like that. There's a small kind of window to the side that's very kind of obvious, and looking in, you can see a few different supplies mixed with a few different, like, just regular furniture things.
I'm gonna do the thing that I'm gonna open the door and knock as I'm opening the door.
Okay. You open it up, and there's a young fire genasi individual who sat down and just seemed to be messing with like an alembic and a few other pieces of equipment. You watch as they're just about to kind of use their thumb to kind of begin to burn this burner, and you step in and knock and just, sorry, teacher wasn't said, teacher, sorry, common, teacher didn't say that they were expecting visitors. Hi, hello, can I help you at all?
Hello, I'm just visiting and procrastinating.
Fair, we do that a lot around here.
Good, it does strike me as the kind of atmosphere where a lot gets done and not a lot gets done. But it's okay. I like to collect knowledge, and I heard that you're able to heal anything.
Oh, not me. My teacher is very good at that kind of thing. I'm just what do you call it?
An An apprentice?
Apprentice. That's the one. I just recently came of age, so that's basically what I'm doing, and I'm just making sure that I'm experimenting and I'm studying and I'm doing all of that. Season, at your service.
Dawan.
They quite excitedly and rigorously kind of shake your hand and immediately pull away and just are you a practitioner of this kind of thing?
A cleric, yes.
Wonderful. I don't suppose you could help me with a small problem as long as you don't tell anyone else. They point towards one of the alembics. Just, I haven't seen this model before, and I don't know how to turn it on. If you could just, if you don't, that's absolutely fine. But if you do, that'd be incredibly helpful.
Like me with a food processor, how does this lid go on?
I don't quite know how this all hooks up properly. I got this one working, and they'll point to just another piece of equipment. I got this one working, I got this one working, but I'm not too sure about.
I'm going to step over to it. Ray, can I get this thing to work?
Yeah, this is like a common piece of equipment that you've used plenty of times. This is like you opening like the jar for someone. This is
alchemist supplies. Like, I'm ready.
Exactly. Yeah, like with your proficiency, this is a tool that you've used plenty of times, and you can immediately see how like this little setup is meant to hook up. It seems to be like a quite large, almost like a diorama of sorts. One of those long kind of purification, splitting the ingredients and then purifying them as they go along. It's this big kind of piece of glass and wood, kind of continues along. And as soon as you walk over, you kind of, like I say, like just popping the jar, basically. You go ahead and just twist a little nozzle, unscrew a little thing here. You immediately get it up and working, and they just, I should have probably realized that. Thank you so much.
I would. Dawan has an apprentice at home herself. She would have explained every step that she was doing in detail.
Once that's kind of, once that little process is kind of wrapped up, they'll just wipe a little sweat from their brow. And getting a little closer, this person is probably like 16 maybe, like quite a young, relatively young individual. And they look and they just look back up at you, just sincerely, thankfully, and just, thank you so much. I would have been stuck on this, and if I would have been tested, then it would have been all over with, and it could have been an absolute disaster. So thank you so much. Sorry, Dawan? Cool, awesome. Wonderful. If you give me just a few moments, I can go ahead and run out, and I can go grab her, that's fine. If you, and he kind of looks around, and they if you'd like, they point towards like a little bookshelf. That's some of the stuff that I've been studying. It's not as much as there is in one of the other huts, but that's my own little personal collection. If you want to sit down and have a read for a few minutes while I head out.
I would love that. Thank you.
Wonderful. Thank you so much again. I really appreciate it. And you can see as they're stepping out, they've pulled out this quite large sketchbook, and they've began like putting a step-by-step sketch list of what you did and how you set up the equipment as they're going along. It's a lot of writing in this episode. As you, just a step-by-step, but it's not like annotated at all. It's just very detailed and actually like really good pencil illustrations.
Dawan would pull out her own notebook that she writes her notes and just like tips it in their direction, like, hey, before going over to the bookshelf to look through the books and also take her own notes.
Yeah. The as Season leaves and begins to get a move on and actually breaks out into like almost a sprint as they walk away. And it's probably as Mara has finished telling their tale and now has their beautiful blue blue dress and has stepped outside, you all kind of end up seeing each other and then seeing Dawan inside of this hut as you all kind of meet up in that kind of oh look kind of way. You watch this individual sprint out and just pause, see a bunch of strangers, give a very enthusiastic wave, and then bolt in another direction.
Before Mara left, she would have found out that Enkaima's name.
They are quite literally called Thistle.
Thistle? I figured as much, but I just wanted to make sure.
Not much story behind the name. They'll just kind of tell you that they never really received one and they never really cared for getting one themselves. So someone said they looked like a thistle and they went, oh, thistlebush. Thistle. All right.
Someday we will meet an Enkaima that is not directly named after the plant that they are.
Right. Because Mara at this point is just going to assume that all Enkaima just take on the name of the plant they look
just
like.
This huge cherry bush. It's like, oh, your name's Cherry. No, it's Russell.
No, it's Pete.
An Enkaima you'll find in Scotland.
Oh yes, as we meet up, Mara goes,
took me a minute, but I got there. Yes. Sorry, go on.
Jacaranda, and she's like bouncing as she goes to tell her this. Jacaranda, I met another Enkaima named Thistle. They make this clothes. They're over there.
That's what Gwendolyn was. That's who Gwendolyn mentioned. Thistle.
You should meet Thistle.
Are we on a time frame? Do we have somewhere to be?
Not until we're ready. And it looks like Dawan may be a moment. She's looking through the door.
Yeah, you see like one of Dawan's ears like flick towards you.
But not full attention.
No. She just like heard her name kind of muffled from outside.
Well,
From what I understand of this place, there's always time. And we'll get back when we're needed.
We have at least a little bit of time. Let's go talk to Thistle.
Okay.
And Mara's still bouncing. She's like...
I thought we were trying to prevent Ray from having to voice all of the NPCs.
You're good. No, you're fine. You're good.
Let's go talk to all of the NPCs at once.
They're interesting NPCs.
Listen, Dawan's reading. We can do that like in Discord.
Yes.
I mean, there's not really too much specific that's in that little library. It's more treatment of other creatures beyond your plane.
Ooh, I like that. That's
so there's
so
treatment
fun.
of beings of more celestial origins. There's like specific treatments for individuals who have planar origins. So like any specific like tiefling diseases, for example, or anything like that, or like Azamar beings, etc. There's like specific treatments for those body types, as well as the more strange kind of interplanar creatures.
Now, see, Dawan is going to be writing all that stuff down because expanding her patient base, but also, if there's anything about like hybrids or splicing or strange genetic mixing of different planar beings, chimeras,
Yeah. There actually is. All of these books, they're not actually books, like published works. They are just huge pieces of very detailed notes with illustrations that going along with it. But yeah, there is a whole section, or a whole notebook rather, based around how to treat individuals that have multiple biological properties.
Yeah, so that one's gonna put that aside and copy some notes on it, but also potentially try and see if she can borrow it.
Mm-hmm.
Keep it forever.
Okay.
It'll find its way back to the veil when it needs it.
When I come back with Naui, I will return it.
Yeah, so you, the rest of you, step inside, back into the sewing area, and there is like these huge pieces of fabric, some of them tapestry, some of them fabric that hasn't been used yet, and you do indeed see the individual kind of tied back up in this thread and weaving it through and keeping these little pieces for certain things and getting back on with something that they're making. And that one kind of larger thistle plant then turns and sees Mara first. So this small little, like, one of the other thistle pieces just waves, and then they turn and does Orin speak Sylvan? Okay, so this comes out as strangely melodic. They kind of flit between their syllables and kind of just create almost this long, ongoing sentence, it sounds like. There's not really a break or a stop. Sylvan's a very kind of beautiful and more kind of musical language, I suppose. But to the other two individuals here, they just, welcome back. And I see this must be your friend. Hi. It's been a while. How do you fare?
Good. So I'll respond in Sylvan while like also looking at my friends, knowing that they don't know what I'm saying. Do you also speak Common?
I'm really sorry. I never happened to learn.
Oh, that's totally okay. We can keep speaking in Sylvan and then I'll explain. Cause Mara, do you still have on the...
Has it been an hour?
No. You'll still have time.
Then yes. I still have it, and I'll go ahead and cast it. Since I understand what the conversation just happened, I'll cast it on Orin as well.
Okay.
So as this like singing and beautiful, he's just kind of like, oh, that's pretty. They're speaking in tree. That's so pretty. And then all of a sudden it's words, and he's like, oh, my listeners.
Oh, that's pretty. They're speaking in tree.
I speak for the trees. Just kidding. Mostly I would ask, how long have you been here?
Here, do you measure time the same way that your friends do?
Yes, I do.
All right. Around 53 years, I believe. My count may be slightly off.
And how did you get here, and where did you come from?
Where I came from, well, I woke up one day in a big forest with a lot of animals. I was much, much, much smaller then. I was a little worried, so I hid inside the crook of a fallen tree, waited a while, spoke to some of the creatures there. Never really found out what your friends might call it, but I know it's a place filled with people like your friends. And then I was sad. I was trying to figure things out. I couldn't find any answers. I became more sad and more sad until I found myself here one day.
And did that help with the sadness?
I'd say it has. I heard from your friend that you met while traveling. I'm not really that kind of person. I don't think. I didn't really enjoy all of the moving around. I prefer to be stuck in a place and just work things out from there.
It can be nice. A change of scenery is enjoyable, but there's nothing like home.
Nothing like home indeed. But I didn't feel like I had one, and I have one here. So that makes me happy.
Have you ever wondered why you woke up? Or how?
Yes. And there are a few others who have come through here that have come and gone, that have filled me in a little bit. Some kind of horrible accident. Well, not exactly an accident.
Not exactly horrible either.
For us now, absolutely not, but apparently when it happened, it wasn't too nice for some of the people that was involved. There was an accident, kind of, a blast of energy, magic, and that apparently made us. I don't know how. That's not exactly my thing. I'm just good with wheels and thread and fabric, not any of that impressive stuff.
Well, I think
Speaking
it's
of
impressive.
fabric, your weavings are amazing. Do you happen to know someone named Sally?
I've met
Who the
a
fuck is
few
Sally?
people.
Sally.
I've met a few people called Sally who have come and gone. Is there someone specific you had in mind?
Do I know Sally's surname? I assume it's the same as Adam's, but
Sally didn't give her surname. So,
okay.
no.
Sally from the town of Genzo. She makes beautiful weavings. They're magical.
I haven't met another weaver called Sally, as far as I'm aware. Doesn't sound familiar. I'm sorry. Were you looking for them?
Oh, well, no, they're off on their own adventure. I just thought maybe if they had made it to the Vale, they would have come and talked to you.
Understandable.
It's a friend of ours that share your interests.
Also understandable.
And he's very amazed that he just spoke that in a language that he does not know. I'm
Yes,
sorry. It's just magic's very strange to me sometimes. I like it. This is very cool.
It's an enigma to me also. It's quite a wonderful thing. And the thistle head will kind of turn back to Jacaranda. Just, do you not know much about yourself?
No, but I did fairly recently learn about the same as what you know, the magical explosion, a queen or the monarch involved, and something Feywild is about the extent of what I know, which I was planning on sharing with you, but it seems you have a fairly good grasp already.
I don't know.
Do all in Kaima start small? Jacaranda, were you small when you woke up? Because now Mara's imagining.
Smaller than I am. I was fairly small.
Some start small and get bigger. Some start big and get bigger. I don't know much more than you do, unfortunately.
Would you like to if I find more out? Or are you satisfied with what you know?
I'm okay either way, I think. I do know that this monarch individual that you speak of is one of the more powerful denizens of the Feylands. The Fey in general. The Vale has a small connection to the Fey. Just enough. We have a small connection to everywhere, really. But I know that whatever they wanted to do was going to be dangerous for a lot of people. And so a group of people stopped them and broke whatever spell the monarch had prepared, which created the release of magic. And then somehow that led to us.
Are you from Lothancolla as well?
I suppose we all originated there, or all of our kind originated there one way or another.
I guess that was kind of my question. I was wondering if this was a worldwide phenomenon or if it just happened in our home.
As far as I know, the accident stretched over the entire continent. I haven't met any other of our kind from any other areas of existence yet. We seem to be special.
It's a special place.
I'm sorry I can't tell you much more.
It was great to meet you. The only other one of us that I've met was possessed. So this is nice.
You watch as that like entire foliage just droops for a moment at that before it kind of bounces back. Just it was very nice. Yes, absolutely. It's good.
It was a crown or something. What did it to the other like enchymeric creature? With the guardian?
Yeah, it was some kind of like infected piece. Yeah, kind of like this headpiece.
Okay. So I'll explain
kind
that.
Of a crown. Kind of a crown.
I'll explain it a bit just as like a warning, in case they do decide to travel ever.
Okay. And they'll listen intently and nod. Just, I appreciate the warning. Thank you. And as they say this...
Oh, continue now.
I was just gonna say, as they say this, you see they've kind of finished this little like knitted knitted like little bluebell kind of little piece that they finished out of this fabric. And one of the thistle pieces takes it and just reaches it outwards to you.
Oh, thank you. That's so kind of you. And then I will druidcraft a very similar looking thing and give it back.
As they take it back, you see it brought up to the main thistle part, and they'll kind of slot it in between one of the little leaves, and like they'll move the leaf against it, so it's almost like pinned into their hair, so to speak. Just have this little bluebell dangling there.
So sweet. And I'll put mine in my my glamour weed rope.
Amazing.
Well, I hope we will meet again soon. And I thank you for the words and company.
If we need to meet again, we absolutely will. And
thank you.
This doesn't really have a face, but you feel like the warmth of a smile, kind of like just that general kind of warmness.
As we stand to go, Mara would bow to Thistle and say, well, you're always welcome at our home in Stonehaven. Jacaranda has made very nice soil.
I will keep that in mind.
If you do decide to travel.
Mm-hmm.
Your kindness is both received and appreciated. I wish you pleasant travels.
It was lovely speaking with you.
Oh.
Absolutely was. Now, bow again. And again, you both, Mara and Orin, you also feel this kind of just general just warmth kind of radiate off of them for a moment.
Very quickly, does Dawn speak Sylvan?
Does Dawn speak Sylvan?
Or is Dawn not even... Oh, she's not there.
I'm not there, and also Dawn does not speak Sylvan. Draconic!
Okay. All right. For a second, I thought, I was like, oh no, like we're having this whole like thing. And Dawn just like...
No, Dawn's writing notes.
Yeah, Dawn is being her bookish self.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, cool. I didn't want to feel like she was being left out.
No,
she chose. She chose to stay. She's like, you do talkie, I'll do the breedy, and healy.
Mm-hmm. As the group inside Thistle's place eventually kind of filters out, as they've nodded, you do see this this fire genasi individual running back and following them at a relatively brisk pace is a figure in like a rather tall figure in a very simple, very plain white robe with the hood up, just enough to kind of keep the light out of their eyes, so to speak. They seem to be wandering along and are about to enter where Dewan is currently resting. Resting / reading / notes.
Follow, I guess.
Absolutely. So Dewan, as you're here jotting down notes, you've put that one book to the side, and you would see your friends first of all as they've now stepped outside of Thistle's house, and as they kind of turn and begin to walk towards you, you see the fire genasi individual come around again. Sisen kind of sprints in and immediately steps to the side, and this robed figure enters, and they pause. They take a look at Sisen, and they almost suspiciously kind of take a look to the side, take a look to the other side. They pull a hand up and rub their eyes a little, blink a couple of times, look towards you. Now, nod once, and then you watch as their whole body kind of lurches forwards, almost into this half sprint, as they clear the distance, and they grab you, and they wrap their arms around you, and they pull you tight.
Dawn is like, huh?
And the rest of you see just this rather tall individual, just like if you could somehow see their back muscles, like they're putting everything into this hug. They've just got the one.
I kind of feel like during the run part, Jacaranda might like try to intervene, not knowing what's happening. Like a little bit worried.
Have any of us seen this person?
Not good.
Ray, is this who I think it is?
You've not really got a good look at their face at this point, but they're just holding you super tight, and it's a relatively wiry figure. As they pull back, you can see the signs of age beginning across their face, but it's very much a graceful aging as they pull themselves back. The hood falls, and you see kind of this kind of messy bun that's been pulled at the back with this kind of gray blondish hair almost. And as they look down at you, they smile, and they're quite a bit taller than you, probably like a head and a half taller. And they just look down at you, and they try and speak, and they can't. And instead, they just kind of rest their forehead straight on yours.
Is it who I think it is?
I don't know. As they stumble over their words a little, just... You still have the same face.
It's who I think it is. Is it Ninit?
They pull back and smile as you see this. Now the hood's been pulled back. This older shifter individual give you a warm and just thrilled smile. Not your mom, no.
No, okay.
Much, much older, but yes, as Ninit stares back at you.
Yeah! Well then, Dawn. After finally, I feel like scent would trigger before sight. But then the party will hear Dawn like squeal, a sound that has never come out of her ever, before she hugs her grandmother.
Oh, okay. I'm glad.
And Mara
I did
would
not
say to
attack his
Oren,
grandmother.
Yeah. No, I feel like there's like
she
sorry.
hugged.
Yeah, like I feel like there was definitely a part like Oren's got his staff out and is
Yeah.
like starting to run forward, and then here's the like "Ah!" and then the
Same.
hug, and is like, oh.
Mara's not worried
Okay.
about it for two reasons. A, we're in the Vale, safest place anywhere. B, the wand can take care of herself.
Yes.
So Mara's not
True.
worried at all. But
Yeah.
when Mara sees the wand gave a hug,
The jealousy rages within.
Hold up.
I know, right? It's like, what? What just happened? What did I
I thought
see?
Oren's skin was on fire. Mara's face is like,
It's not on fire. She's not angry. She's just like, she hugged someone.
Yeah.
And as this
Person must be
second
very
hug,
important.
yeah, as this second hug kind of wraps around and they pull you back in now that you're hugging back and they hold you there, they just lean down a little and whisper in your ear and just, the bag looks good on you. And they tap your head just on the back and kind of run, you know that like grandma run, just a little finger to tuck a piece of hair back
Yes.
and give
Yes.
you a little pat. And
She
Then
smooths
pull
the
back.
bun. We smooth each other's buns.
exactly that. Now step back, smile. I think that's where we'll wrap the session.
Ah!
Cute.
Ah! Man,
So
I'm
good.
glad we figured out Dawan's family this weekend.
Why do you think I asked?
I see
Yes.
now.
I'm like, nature cleric. Okay, what is the possibility that someone has like actually gone to the Vale? And when we kind of talked about this whole like, you think your grandma and your family were traveling for a bit, I was like, aha. Traveling, you
don't
say?
Ow, I just cracked my knuckles. You don't say.
As soon as you gave me that piece of ammo, I'm like, oh, I know exactly where that's going.
Wait, does this mean do Naui and Nanette know each other?
You don't know.
Grandmother's seal of approval.
Oh god.
We met new friends.
Yeah,
We found family.
it's been a good episode.
Mara's not the only one with family in weird place.
There's nothing weird about where Evan is. It's literally what he was born to do.
Still weird to Dawan. Still weird.
All right. With that being said, yeah, let's go ahead and quickly go around the horn here and just give people a chance to plug what they want to plug. Rochelle, you're up first.
Hi, I'm Dragon Gem Rochelle here on Twitch. The Dragon Gem on Twitter. I stream on my own channel on Sundays and Wednesdays at 6 Mountain. I play lots of puzzle games. So you should come by, hang out, chit chat. We can discuss D&D while you're there. But yeah, that's what I do.
Amazing. Jesse.
Hi, I'm Jahusamus on the interwebs. I do art stuff. I'll be doing more art stuff. Actually, I'll be doing some mine and the Martyr portraits that I'm going to post work in progresses of on my Twitter. That's the goal. Yes.
Hype.
Hype.
Cool. Anything else?
No, I don't think so. Because
Sweet.
the one other stream I'm in is in an indefinite hiatus.
Well, life will sort itself out eventually. Maybe we'll see.
Yeah. Holidays are coming up. I'm gonna wait until after holidays before I really get into what I'm doing.
That's fair. Melissa.
Find the unmute button. I am So Much Geek, also known as Melissa. Flip that, reverse it. And I stream sometimes on my own Twitch channel, and I do some art things sometimes, and I'm going to be on a podcast coming up. We did a play test for Iron Edda Reforged, character creation and a little bit of playing, which it was really fun. Honestly, that character creation is amazing, and I would use that character creation for any setting. I actually might use it for a D&D character like base, because I feel like I actually really know the character just based on how we created it. It was amazing. But anyway, listen to the podcast and you'll see what I'm gushing about. I don't know why I'm talking about it like this right now, but I will post about it on my Twitter. My Twitter is probably the best place to find out anything I'm doing, because I don't know how to talk about myself. I'm better at retweeting other people talking about things. So yeah, also So Much Geek there, like SEW Much Geek. So see you all on Monday.
Adam.
Hey, I'm Adam. You can catch me on the interwebs at Adam Hardy VO. I honestly, I don't post a lot, like at all. But the one thing I would like to plug is I do the post for the Mind and the Martyr. So check out the Friends Who Roll Dice YouTube page, and also wherever you get podcasts, check us out. Search for Mind and the Martyr, and that will pop up. You can get our pre-recorded sessions with a little added music, a little added sound effects. I have a lot of fun doing little like weird like stuff when we're in battle, so check out those fight scenes.
Heck yeah. I believe we are up to episode 22 uploaded to YouTube now, as we're kind of going through a very big backlog of
there was a transition. Oh, I saw that the Friends Who Roll Dice actually just uploaded a bunch of the gods we know.
Yes.
Which is another great stream that if you're just looking for something, watch it on YouTube. It's awesome. Mm-hmm. Great people, great cast.
Yeah, which kind of segues into what we're doing here on Friends Who Roll Dice, I guess. But before that, I'm Ray. I am your GM for the Mind of the Martyr. You can find me over at RedMageRay on Twitter. You can find me elsewhere at some point that my mind is now just blanking. Fridays. Friday at an obscene time for you American lot, but that's fine. It's like 10 o'clock my time in the morning. We do the Stygian Shroud, which is a Curse of Strahd sequel. Everyone is level 19, almost level 20, fighting a level 20 Strahd and probably a very upgraded level 20 Rahadin, which is going to be very fun. That's the fight I've been looking forward to the most in this whole campaign, and we're getting real close to it, so I'm super excited. So check us out there on Polish Cryptid's channel. I am doing some other things, but I can't talk about any of them yet, so that's what we're going to roll with. As for Friends Who Roll Dice, as we just mentioned, we're currently going through our ridiculous backlog of amazing games, whether that be the charity games, the Gods We Know, the Mind of the Martyr, our one-shots with Queer Heist Crew, whatever. Like, we're going through literally everything and uploading everything we've ever done, basically, which is going to be Cool. And you can check that out at the Friends Who Roll Dice YouTube channel. We do have a couple of other games kind of in the works that we can't talk about, but there is also on Sundays, we have our Invisible Sun game, The Soul's Confidant, which you should definitely check out. Jesse did some amazing artwork for it. Mer and the cast are fantastic, and you should definitely check that out as well, especially if you like queer people doing queer things, because that's just basically the vibe, just doing badass things. Yeah, that's everything I can think of off the top of my head. Yeah, that is actually all I can think of off the top of my head. So let's go ahead and wrap up here. As always, big thank you to the cast. Support them in everything they do. Big thank you to you for watching. Go ahead and get yourself some drinks, get yourselves whatever you need. Settle in for the night. Take care. Sleep well. Rest well. Keep moving forward, and we will see you next week. Goodbye.